Captain Lee Tae-jin stood in the control room of the New Dawn, watching the red lights flash across the main screen. Each blinking light meant another system was failing. Each beep meant they were one step closer to death. "How long do we have?" he asked quietly. Park Min-ho looked up from his workstation. The chief engineer's face was pale and tired. Dark circles showed under his eyes. He had not slept for 3 days trying to fix what could not be fixed. 72 hours, Captain. Maybe less? Lee closed his eyes for a moment. 50,000 people were counting on him. 50,000 souls who had left Earth to find a new home among the stars. Now they were lost in empty space, their ship broken, their dreams dying with them. The jump drive had worked perfectly during tests. It was supposed to take them to Kepler 442b, a world where they could build new cities and raise their children under alien suns. Instead, it had dropped them here in the cold darkness between stars with no fuel left to move and no way to call for help. "The air?" Lee asked. "Getting worse every hour," Min-ho replied. "The recycling systems are working, but barely. We have too many people and not enough power to keep the air clean." Through the glass walls of the control room, Lee could see into the main corridor. Families sat together on the floor, holding their children close. Some people prayed. Others just stared at the walls with empty eyes. The ship felt like a tomb already. Kim So-ra, the colony administrator, walked into the control room. Her usual calm manner was cracking. She had been dealing with frightened people all day, trying to keep order when everyone knew they were going to die. "The families in Section C are asking questions," she said. "They want to know if we have a plan." "What did you tell them?" Lee asked. "That we are working on it." So-ra sat down heavily in a chair. "But they know, Captain." "Everyone knows," Lee nodded. There was no point in lying anymore. The ship's speakers had been making announcements about temporary difficulties for days. But people could see the failing lights, feel the air getting stale, watch their children getting sick. In the medical bay, Dr. Yoon Da-eun was doing what she could with limited supplies. She had saved a few lives, but she could not save everyone, not when the ship itself was dying around them. The New Dawn had been humanity's pride, the largest ship ever built, designed to carry people to a new world and give them everything they needed to build a civilization. Now it was a metal coffin floating in space. "Sir," called out Han Ji-min from the navigation station, "I'm getting something strange on the sensors." Lee walked over to look at her screen. "What kind of strange?" "A ship, I think. But the computer doesn't recognize the design. It's big." The main screen changed to show the sensor readings. Lee stared at the display, not believing what he saw. Something was coming toward them. "Something massive. How big?" he asked. 12 times the size of our ship," Ji-min replied. Her voice was shaking. "Captain, I've never seen anything like this." The bridge fell silent except for the sound of failing systems. Everyone stared at the screen as the unknown ship came closer. It moved in a way that seemed impossible, flowing through space like it was swimming rather than flying. Is it alien?" So-ra whispered. Lee did not answer. He could not answer. Humanity had never met another intelligent species. They had found signs of life on distant worlds, but nothing that could build ships and travel between stars. The alien ship was beautiful in a way that made no sense. It looked like it was made of crystal and light, with parts that seemed to bend and flow like water. Strange colors moved across its surface like the northern lights back on Earth. "They're sending a signal," reported Choi Hyun-woo from the communication station. It's in Korean." Everyone turned to stare at him. That was impossible. How could aliens know human language? "Put it through," Lee ordered. A voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect Korean with an accent that sounded ancient and wise. "Human vessel, we see your distress. We are called the Veltar. Do you require assistance?" Lee's hands shook as he picked up the communication device. "What did you say to aliens? How did you ask gods for help?" "This is Captain Lee Tae-jin of the Earthship New Dawn. Yes, we need help. Our ship is dying. Our people are dying." "We understand," the voice replied. "We are coming alongside your vessel. Do not be afraid." The alien ship moved closer until it filled their view. Up close, Lee could see that it was not just one ship, but many smaller parts joined together, all glowing with soft light. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "Captain," Min-ho said quietly, "whatever they are, they just saved our long-range sensors from complete failure. I don't know how, but they're fixing our systems just by being near us." A new sound filled the ship, not the harsh beeping of alarms, but something like music. The lights stopped flashing red and began to glow steady blue. The air vents started working properly again. Children stopped crying in the corridors. People stood up and looked around in wonder as their ship came back to life. "Human captain," the alien voice said. "We are docking with your vessel. We wish to meet you face to face." Lee looked at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? They were completely helpless. All they could do was trust these strange beings who had appeared from nowhere. "Permission granted," Lee said. We welcome you aboard." As the alien ship connected to theirs, Lee felt something he had not felt in days. Hope. Whatever these Veltar were, they had just given his people a chance to live. Now he had to find out what they wanted in return. The new dawn had been saved by strangers from the stars. But Lee knew that this was just the beginning of something much larger than anyone could imagine. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and Captain Lee Tae-jin got his first look at an alien. The being that stepped onto his ship was tall, almost 3 meters high, with skin that changed colors like the aurora back on Earth. Its eyes were like liquid starlight, deep and ancient. When it moved, it seemed to flow rather than walk. "I am called One Who Guides Lost Ones," the alien said in perfect Korean. Its voice was like music and wind chimes. "We have come to help." Lee tried to speak but found his throat dry. Behind him, his crew stood frozen, staring at their first contact with another species. Dr. Yoon Da-eun stepped forward, her medical training overcoming her shock. "Our people are sick," she said. "The air has been bad for days. Some of the children—" The alien turned its starlight eyes toward her. "Show me." As they walked through the ship, more Veltar came aboard. They were all different sizes and colors, but they moved with the same flowing grace. They carried devices that looked like they were made of crystal and light. In the medical bay, One Who Guides Lost Ones examined a sick child. The boy's mother held him close, fear and hope fighting in her eyes. The alien placed a crystal device near the child's chest. It began to glow with warm light. "The damage is small," the alien said. "It can be healed," the device hummed softly. Within minutes, the child's breathing became easier. His fever broke. He opened his eyes and smiled at his mother. Dr. Yoon watched with amazement. "How did you do that?" "Your bodies are not so different from ours," One Who Guides Lost Ones replied. "We have learned to repair such damage over many centuries." While the Veltar healed the sick, others worked on the ship itself. Park Min-ho followed a group of aliens to the engine room, watching as they examined the broken jump drive. "Your technology is young but clever," one of them told him through a translation device. "We can improve it." "Improve it how?" Min-ho asked. Instead of answering, the alien began to work. Its hands moved over the broken machinery, and wherever it touched, the metal began to change. New parts grew like crystals, connecting to the old systems in ways that seemed impossible. The engine room filled with soft light. The jump drive, which had been cold and dead for days, began to hum with power. But it was different now. Cleaner, brighter, more alive. "This will not break again," the alien said, "and it will take you much farther than before." On the bridge, Captain Lee watched his ship transform. The old displays were replaced with new screens that showed information in ways he had never seen. The navigation systems could now detect things across vast distances. The life support systems were working so well that the air smelled like a spring morning. One Who Guides Lost Ones joined him on the bridge, carrying what looked like a map made of light. "Your destination," the alien said. "The world you call Kepler 442b, it is a good world. But we offer you better." The map expanded, showing star systems Lee had never seen. 7 different suns, each with worlds that glowed green and blue, the colors of life. "These worlds are empty," One Who Guides Lost Ones explained. "They wait for people who will care for them. We give them to your species." Lee stared at the map. 7 worlds, 7 new Earths for humanity. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you do this for us?" The alien's aurora skin shifted to deeper blues and purples. "We have watched your species for some time. You are young, but you have something we value. You hope even when hope seems foolish. You care for each other even when it costs you. You adapt and survive and grow." Han Ji-min was working at the navigation station, her eyes wide as she studied the new star charts. "Captain, the computer is showing me routes to all 7 systems. The jump drive can reach any of them now." Kim Sora had been quiet, but now she spoke up. What do you want from us in return? One who guides lost ones turned to her. Nothing. This is a gift freely given. There must be something, Sora insisted. People don't give away worlds for nothing. Your people do not know us yet, the alien replied. But they will. When your children's children travel between the stars, when they have grown strong and wise, we hope they will remember that the universe can be kind to those who show kindness to others. Dr. Yoon had finished treating all the sick and injured. She came to the bridge with wonder in her eyes. Captain, they've cured everything. Diseases that we've been fighting for centuries. Cancer, heart disease, genetic disorders, all gone. How is that possible? Lee asked. They understand life in ways we're just beginning to learn, Yoon replied. They've given me medical knowledge that will help humanity for generations. Engineer Choi Hyunwoo was equally amazed by what he had learned. Captain, their power systems are incredible. They draw energy from space itself. I don't understand how it works, but they've shown me enough to keep learning for the rest of my life. One who guides lost ones listened to the humans with what seemed like satisfaction. Knowledge shared grows stronger. You will take what we have taught you and make it into something new. That is what your species does. Over the next few days, the Veltar worked tirelessly to upgrade every system on the New Dawn. They improved the hydroponics bays so they could grow enough food for twice as many people. They enhanced the manufacturing system so the colonists could build anything they needed. They even added new sections to the ship, expanding it to hold more people in greater comfort. But the greatest gift was knowledge. The Veltar shared their understanding of medicine, engineering, and science. They taught humans how to build ships that could travel safely between stars, how to heal injuries that had once been fatal, how to grow food on worlds that had never known life. Why are you giving us so much? Captain Lee asked on the final day. One who guides lost ones stood at the observation deck looking out at the stars. Because your species reminds us of ourselves when we were young. We had help then from others who are now gone. It is our turn to help. Will we see you again? When you are ready, the alien replied. When your people have grown into what they can become, we will be waiting. The Veltar ships began to separate from the New Dawn, but before they left, one who guides lost ones gave Captain Lee one final gift, a small crystal that pulsed with inner light. This will let you call us if you truly need help, the alien said, but we believe you will not need it. Your species is stronger than you know. As the alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space, the New Dawn began its journey to the first of the 7 worlds. The colonists gathered at the observation windows, watching their new destination grow larger on the screens. Captain Lee held the crystal and thought about what had just happened. His people had been dying, lost and alone in the cold of space. Now they had 7 worlds to call home and knowledge that would help them thrive. The Veltar had shown them compassion when they needed it most. Lee made a promise to himself that humanity would remember this kindness. Someday, when they were strong enough, they would find a way to repay it. 300 years had passed since the New Dawn first landed on the world the colonists named New Busan. Admiral Kwon Yeon-soo stood on the bridge of the Eternal Gratitude, humanity's newest and most powerful ship, looking down at the planet that had become the heart of human space. The world was beautiful beyond anything the first colonists could have imagined. Cities of crystal and metal stretched across 3 continents, their towers reaching toward the sky like prayers made real. Gardens and parks filled every empty space, making the cities look like they grew from the earth itself rather than being built on it. Status report, Admiral Kwon ordered. All 7 colonies are thriving. Admiral, replied Captain Oh Soo-jin, her aide. New Busan has 40 million people, New Seoul has 35 million, and the others are growing fast. Our fleet now has over 3,000 ships and our trade networks reach 52 star systems. Admiral Kwon nodded with satisfaction. Humanity had done well with the gifts the Veltar had given them. The 7 worlds were now home to 200 million humans, and more ships launched every year to explore new systems and build new colonies. But they had never forgotten who made it all possible. Take me to the Memorial Institute, Admiral Kwon said. The shuttle flew over New Busan's capital city, passing the great statue that stood in the central square. It showed one who guides lost ones reaching out to help a human child, cast in metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Around the base, words were carved in both human script and Veltar symbols. to those who showed us the stars. Dr. Lim Jae-hwan was waiting at the Memorial Institute, surrounded by displays showing Veltar technology and culture. As the director of the institute, he had spent his entire life studying their gifts and trying to understand the aliens who had saved humanity. "Admiral," he said, bowing respectfully. "What brings you here?" "I need to know everything we've learned about Veltar space," Admiral Kwan replied. "Our scouts have been trying to contact them for decades, but we get no response." Dr. Lim led her through the halls of the institute, past holographic displays showing Veltar ships and star maps. "We know they control at least 30 systems in the galactic core. Their technology is still far beyond ours, even after 3 centuries of study, but you're right, they've gone silent." They stopped at a display showing the last known contact with the Veltar. It had been 50 years ago, when a human exploration ship had briefly detected Veltar signals before they vanished. "Our long-range sensors show something disturbing," Dr. Lim continued. "Energy readings from Veltar space suggest massive destruction. Whole star systems going dark." Admiral Kwan studied the data with growing concern. Could it be a war? Possibly. But against whom? The Veltar were the most advanced species we knew of. Before Admiral Kwan could respond, an urgent message came through her communication device. "Admiral, this is Captain O on the Eternal Gratitude. We're receiving a priority signal from Scout Ship Far Horizon. Put it through." Captain Park Dongwoo's voice came through, crackling with static from the long-range transmission. "Admiral, I'm at the edge of Veltar space. You need to see what I'm seeing." The signal cleared, showing the view from Park's ship. Where there should have been the beautiful crystal cities the Veltar were known for, there was only destruction. Broken ships drifted in space like metal corpses. Planets that once glowed with life were now dark and scarred. "What happened here?" Admiral Kwan whispered. "Unknown, Admiral," Park replied. "But I'm detecting survivors. Veltar life signs on the 3rd planet. They're hiding in underground shelters." Admiral Kwan felt her heart racing. The Veltar, who had seemed so powerful and wise, were in trouble. The beings who had saved humanity when they were lost and dying now needed help themselves. "Captain Park, maintain your position but stay hidden," she ordered. "I'm calling an emergency session of the Human Assembly." Within hours, representatives from all 7 human worlds had gathered in the assembly hall on New Busan. The great chamber, built in the style the Veltar had taught them, hummed with urgent conversation as the leaders of humanity debated what to do. President Bae Tae-hyung called for order. "We all know why we're here. The Veltar are in danger. The question is, what are we going to do about it?" "We owe them everything," said Counselor Kim Min-jun from New Seoul. "Every ship we build, every world we inhabit, every life we've saved with their medical knowledge, it all came from their gift to us. But we don't know what we're facing," argued Counselor Lee Hwa-young from New Incheon. "Our scouts report massive destruction. Whatever did this to the Veltar might be too powerful for us to fight." Admiral Kwan stood to address the assembly. 300 years ago, the Veltar found humanity dying in space. They could have left us there. Instead, they saved us and gave us the stars. Now they need our help. She activated a holographic display showing the current state of human civilization. Thousands of ships, millions of people. Technology that had grown from Veltar gifts into something uniquely human. "Look what we've become," Admiral Kwan continued. "We're not the same helpless people who drifted in the new dawn. We have the largest fleet in known space. Our weapons and shields are based on Veltar designs but improved by 3 centuries of human innovation. We have resources from 50 systems and the determination of a species that remembers its debts." Dr. Lim stepped forward. "Admiral Kwan is right. We've studied every piece of Veltar technology they left us. We know their ships, their weapons, their culture. If anyone can help them, it's us." President Bae looked around the chamber. "All in favor of mounting a rescue mission?" Every hand rose. The vote was unanimous. "Then it's decided," President Bae announced. "We go to help our saviors." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. Humanity's greatest fleet began to assemble in the space around New Busan. Battleships that could crack planets, medical ships equipped with the most advanced healing technology, supply vessels carrying enough resources to rebuild worlds. But more than ships, they carried something else. The memory of a debt that could never be forgotten. Commander Song Min-ki was chosen to lead the Marine forces. As he prepared his troops, he spoke to them about what they owed the Veltar. Every human child learns the story of the dying light. he told his soldiers. How aliens found us when we were lost and gave us hope. Now it's our turn to be the light in someone else's darkness. As the fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Kwan stood once more before the statue of one who guides lost ones. The alien figure seemed to look down at her with those starlight eyes as if asking a question. "We remember," she whispered to the statue. "We remember everything you gave us, and we're coming to repay it." The greatest rescue fleet in galactic history launched from New Busan, carrying with it the hopes of 200 million humans. They flew toward the galactic core, toward whatever darkness had consumed their saviors. Humanity was going to war not for conquest or glory, but for gratitude and love. The human expeditionary force dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Veltar home system, and Admiral Kwan Yonsu felt her heart break at what she saw. The beautiful crystal world she had seen in historical records were now black and scarred. Space was filled with debris from destroyed ships and orbital cities. Where once there had been the gentle lights of Veltar civilization, now there was only darkness and death. "Admiral," reported Captain Osu Jin from the sensor station, "I'm detecting massive bioships throughout the system. Unknown design, but they're consuming everything in their path." On the main screen, Admiral Kwan could see them, vast organic vessels that looked like giant insects or parasites. They moved through space in swarms, attaching themselves to asteroids and moons, stripping away all matter and energy they could find. "The Kethvar," whispered Dr. Lim, who had joined the expedition to study Veltar culture. "I've read about them in the oldest Veltar records. A species that consumes entire civilizations. How many?" Admiral Kwan asked. "Sensors show at least 10,000 bioships in this system alone," Captain O replied. "Admiral, there are signs they've spread to dozens of other systems. This isn't just an invasion, it's a plague." Commander Song Min-ki stepped forward. "What about Veltar survivors?" Captain O checked her readings. "I'm detecting small groups on the third planet, Veltar Prime. They're hiding underground, but their numbers are very low." Admiral Kwan studied the tactical display. The human fleet numbered 3,000 ships, impressive by any standard except this one. They were outnumbered more than 3-1 by an enemy that had already destroyed the mighty Veltar civilization. But humanity had not come this far to turn back now. "All ships. This is Admiral Kwan," she announced over the fleet communication channel. "We know what we're facing. The Kethvar have done to our saviors what they've done to dozens of other species, but they've never faced humanity before." She paused, looking out at the damaged system where the Veltar had once thrived. 300 years ago, the Veltar saved us when we were dying in space. They gave us the stars, they gave us hope. They gave us the chance to become what we are today. Now they need us. Today we show the galaxy what humanity does for its friends. The response from the fleet was immediate, thousands of voices speaking as one, "For the Veltar!" The battle began when the Kethvar swarms detected the human ships. The bio-vessels turned from their feeding and swarmed toward the fleet like angry wasps. They were fast and numerous, but Admiral Kwan had studied the enemy carefully during the journey. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. "Target their command ships." Human plasma lances, evolved from Veltar energy weapons but improved by 3 centuries of human engineering, reached out across space. Where they touched the Kethvar bioships, the organic hulls simply vanished. The weapons didn't just destroy, they unmade matter at the quantum level. "They're trying to surround us," reported Captain O. "Kethvar swarms coming from all directions." "Let them come," Admiral Kwan replied calmly. "Begin Phase 2. The human fleet suddenly split apart, each ship group moving in a different direction. But they weren't retreating. They were executing a plan that only a species raised on Veltar wisdom could have conceived. Quantum missiles phased through Kethvar armor, as if it didn't exist, appearing inside the bioships and detonating. Human fighters, small and fast, darted between the massive enemy vessels like deadly insects, their weapons finding weak points with surgical precision. But the real surprise came when the Kethvar tried to use their greatest weapon, their ability to drain energy from enemy ships. They had used this trick to defeat the Veltar and dozens of other species. It didn't work on human ships. "How?" demanded the Kethvar swarm mind, speaking through captured Veltar communication systems. "How do you resist our feeding?" Admiral Kwan smiled grimly. "Because we learned from teachers who loved us. Veltar technology doesn't just give power, it protects power, and we've had 300 years to make it better." The battle turned into a slaughter. The Kethvar, so used to easy victories against species that fought like the Veltar had taught them to fight, found themselves facing an enemy that fought like nothing they had ever seen. Humans didn't just defend. They attacked with a fury born of love and gratitude. They didn't just win battles. They hunted down every last enemy, making sure none could escape to threaten others. Captain Park Dongwoo led a strike force to the surface of Veltar Prime, fighting through swarms of Kethvar ground forces to reach the underground shelters where the survivors hid. The first Veltar he found was ancient and weak, its aurora skin dim with exhaustion and despair. When the human marine removed his helmet, the alien stared in disbelief. "The small ones," the Veltar whispered. "You came back." "We remember our debts," Park replied. "And we pay them." More humans poured into the shelter, their weapons clearing out the Kethvar parasites that had been slowly draining the life from the survivors. Combat medics began treating injured Veltar with techniques learned from their own people centuries ago. In the deepest part of the shelter, Commander Song found him, one who guides lost ones, now ancient beyond measure but still alive. The Veltar leader was weak, his starlight eyes dim, but when he saw the human commander, something like hope flickered in them. "I remember you," one who guides lost ones said softly. "Not you personally, but your species. The lost ship. The dying people we found in the void." "We're not lost anymore," Song replied, "and we're here to make sure you're not lost either." Around them, human marines were systematically hunting down every Kethvar creature in the shelter network. Unlike the Veltar, who fought with precision and mercy, humans fought with total commitment. They had learned war from necessity and practiced it with deadly efficiency. Above them, in space, the battle was ending. The Kethvar swarms that had seemed so overwhelming were being destroyed piece by piece. Human ships worked in perfect coordination, each captain knowing exactly what their role was in the larger plan. "Admiral," reported Captain O, "we've eliminated the Kethvar presence in this system. They're trying to escape to other systems. Pursuit teams Alpha through Zeta follow them," Admiral Kwan ordered. "I want every last one of these parasites destroyed. They'll never threaten anyone again." The human fleet split into hunting groups, each pursuing fleeing Kethvar ships through hyperspace. The hunt would last for days, but Admiral Kwan knew her people would not stop until the job was finished. On Veltar Prime, one who guides lost ones was brought to the surface to see human ships landing with supplies and medical equipment. Thousands of human volunteers were already beginning the work of clearing away the damage and helping the survivors. "Why?" the ancient Veltar asked Commander Song. "We helped you once, long ago. This is so much more than we gave you." Song looked up at the sky where human ships were bringing light back to the darkened world. "You gave us the stars," he said simply. "Everything we have, everything we've become started with your kindness. This isn't repayment, this is what friends do for each other." The Kethvar were gone, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had not come just to fight. They had come to heal, to rebuild, to restore what had been lost. They had come to show the galaxy what happened when you showed humanity compassion. 7 days after the first human ship entered Veltar space, the last Kethvar bioship was destroyed above the ruins of a world that had once been home to 50 billion aliens. Captain Lee Jinsu watched the organic vessel break apart under the fire from his destroyer, its parasitic crew screaming across all frequencies as they died. "Confirmed kill," he reported to Admiral Kwan. "That's the last of them in this sector, across 30 star systems." Similar reports were coming in. The human fleet had hunted down every single Kethvar ship, every biostation, every feeding ground. The species that had consumed dozens of civilizations was now extinct, wiped out by a race they had thought would be easy prey. But the real miracle was happening on Veltar Prime. President Bae Tae-hyung stood in what had once been the capital city of the Veltar homeworld, watching thousands of human volunteers work alongside the surviving aliens to rebuild what had been lost. The crystal spires that had been broken were growing again, shaped by Veltar biotechnology guided by human engineering. "How many survivors did we find?" he asked Dr. Lim, who had become the coordinator between human and Veltar teams. 43,000 across all their worlds, Dr. Lim replied, "out of a population that once numbered in the billions. But they're alive and they can rebuild." President Bae nodded, watching human medics work with Veltar healers to treat survivors who had been slowly dying from Kethvar parasites. The medical techniques that had started with Veltar knowledge 3 centuries ago had evolved into something that could now save their creators. Commander Song approached them, his armor still showing scorch marks from the fighting in the underground shelters. "Sir, one who guides lost ones wants to speak with you." They found the ancient Veltar leader in the newly constructed medical center, his aurora skin slowly returning to its natural brightness as human and Veltar healers worked together to repair the damage done by years of hiding and fighting. "You came," he said when he saw President Bay. "When we were lost, when we were dying, you came for us. You saved us first," President Bay replied. "Everything we are, everything we've built started with your kindness to strangers. We could never forget that." One who guides lost ones was quiet for a long moment, his starlight eyes reflecting memories of the past. "When we first found your people, we saw potential. A young species that hoped even when hope seemed pointless. But this..." He gestured toward the window where humans and Veltar worked side by side to rebuild the city. "This goes beyond anything we imagined." Outside, the work continued day and night. Human ships brought supplies from across their empire. Food, medicine, building materials, everything needed to restore a civilization. But more than that, they brought people. Millions of human volunteers had come to help, leaving their comfortable lives to work in the ruins of alien worlds. Captain Shin Ye-jin supervised the restoration of the orbital stations around Veltar Prime. Her engineering teams were working with surviving Veltar technicians to rebuild the beautiful crystal structures that had once surrounded the planet like a necklace of stars. The humans work like they're rebuilding their own homes, observed Veltar engineer Harmony of Crystal Growth.
"Why do they care so much about our world?"
"Because you made it possible for them to have worlds of their own," Shin replied. "They're not just fixing your cities, they're honoring a debt that can never truly be repaid." The restoration was not just about rebuilding structures. Human xenobiologists worked with Veltar lifeshapers to restore the damaged ecosystems of their worlds. Forests that had been consumed by the Kethvar began to grow again, their crystal trees singing in harmonies that had been silent for decades. Dr. Yoon's granddaughter, Dr. Yoon Myung, led the medical efforts, using techniques that combined 3 centuries of human medical advancement with the healing wisdom of the Veltar. She was able to cure injuries and diseases that would have been impossible to treat just years before. "Your people have taken our gifts and made them into something wonderful," one who guides lost ones told her as he watched her save a young Veltar who had been near death. "We gave you knowledge, but you gave it heart." The news of humanity's rescue of the Veltar spread across the galaxy through trade networks and communication relays. Other species watched in amazement as the young race that had risen from nothing mobilized everything they had to save their benefactors. The Zenthari Collective, an ancient empire that had known the Veltar for millennia, sent an official message to President Bay. "We had thought the age of heroes was over. Your people have proven us wrong." The hegemony of the Seven Suns, which had traded with both humans and Veltar, offered their resources to help with the reconstruction. "What humanity has done here will be remembered until the stars grow cold." But perhaps the most meaningful response came from the refugees and scattered survivors of the species the Kethvar had destroyed. They began making pilgrimages to Veltar space not to ask for help, but to see for themselves the race that had turned gratitude into action. 1 year after the rescue, a great ceremony was held in the restored capital of Veltar Prime. Representatives from hundreds of species came to witness the dedication of a new monument in the center of the city. The monument was simple but profound, a sculpture showing a human and a Veltar reaching toward each other, their hands almost touching. Around the base, words were carved in every major galactic language. "To those who showed mercy to strangers among the stars, your compassion became our foundation. Our gratitude became your salvation." One who guides lost ones, his health fully restored by the combined efforts of human and Veltar healers, spoke at the dedication ceremony. His voice carried across the square and was broadcast to every world in known space. 300 years ago, we found a small ship full of dying humans. We helped them because it was the right thing to do. We could never have imagined that this simple act of kindness would one day save our entire civilization. He paused, looking out at the mixed crowd of humans and Veltar who had worked together to rebuild their world. Today, I speak not just to those gathered here, but to every species in the galaxy. Kindness matters. Compassion echoes across the centuries. What you do for others, especially when they cannot repay you, shapes the universe in ways you cannot imagine. President Bay stepped forward to respond. The Veltar showed us that the universe could be kind. Today we show the universe that kindness once given never dies. It grows, it spreads, it becomes legend. As the ceremony ended and the crowds dispersed, Admiral Kwan stood with Dr. Lim on the observation deck of the Eternal Gratitude, looking down at the restored world below. "What happens now?" Dr. Lim asked. "We've repaid our debt to the Veltar. What does humanity do next?" Admiral Kwan smiled, thinking of the refugee ships already heading toward human space, of the new alliances being formed, of the young species that would someday need help the way humanity once had. "Now we do what the Veltar taught us," she said. "We find others who need help and we give it freely. We make sure that what happened here becomes the rule, not the exception." In the years that followed, the story of humanity's rescue of the Veltar would be told on 1,000 worlds. It would become legend, then myth, then something even greater, a promise that in a universe that could be cold and hostile, there were still those who remembered their debts and paid them with love. The Veltar had shown humanity compassion once, when they were lost and dying in the void, and they had been repaid with legend, a legend that would inspire acts of kindness across the galaxy for generations to come. In the deepest archives of both civilizations, scholars would preserve the true lesson of the story, that the greatest strength in the universe was not found in weapons or technology, but in remembering who helped you when you had nothing left to give. And in the space between the stars, where new species were just beginning to reach toward the cosmos, that lesson would guide them toward a future where compassion, once given, would echo through eternity.